Hey everyone, what is going on? Welcome back to today's video. And in today's video, jumping back into another top 5 video. In today's video, we're going to be going over the top 5 roamers in Rainbow Six Siege for Operation Steel Wave. Now, I made a top 5 roamers video a little while ago now. I have no idea how long ago I made it, but yeah, I haven't really made an updated version on this in a long time. So today, we're coming at you with a new and improved list, at least in my opinion, on who I believe the top 5 best roamers in the game are at the moment. Hopefully, this passes on some knowledge and some helpful tips as to who to bring when you are trying to roam on the defensive side. Without further ado, I just want to remind you guys to leave a like on this video if you do end up enjoying. Make sure to drop a sub as well if you did enjoy, because we're on that final stretch to 10k. I'd really appreciate all of you guys being a part of that. Also, come check out my Twitch, links in the description. I stream there every day, except for Saturdays from 7:15 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'd love to see all you guys there as well. And without further ado, let's dive into the top 5 best roamers. So coming in at number 5, we do have Malusi. Now, this may be a little bit of a controversial one, especially as I progress through the list and I am leaving some people out. This may be definitely a little bit of a controversial one, but I believe that Malusi brings to the table a very good roaming capability package. Obviously, having the 3 speed, 1 armor, which is basically an essential to a good roamer, if I'm going to be completely honest. She has a great weapon in the T5 SMG, which deals 28 damage on 900 rounds per minute. So its damage is a little bit low, but its round per minute is in one of the higher scales in the game. So definitely a good all-around weapon that you can bring on the defensive side, and you can mix this up with your roaming as well, because it's a powerful weapon to bring. And mixing, you definitely want powerful weapons when you're roaming, because obviously as you're a roamer, you're probably going to get into more gunfights than say an anchor would, unless your roamers are shit, and then the anchors are going to have to pick up for the roamers when the roamers die. But yeah, an essential thing about roaming is probably a solid gun or a solid ability. Now, Malusi's ability isn't really a roaming side ability, and that probably is why she's at number 5. If she had a specifically roam-based ability, I'd 100% put her higher up the list, because her loadout and speed, stuff like that, all load up to a roamer's role. But her ability is the Banshee Sonic Device, which is a deployable little gadget you can put on the ground, which slows down pushes. You should 100% utilize these on site, there's no doubt about that. But there is nothing wrong with putting things down on site and then leaving, just like you would do with a Bandit, a Jaeger, and other operators like that. And she also has access to a Super 90 shotgun, which is one of the higher and better shotguns in the game, in my opinion. I find this thing one of the most efficient and powerful shotguns in the game. And she also has access to the RG-15 pistol, which is the sighted pistol, which you can bring on the defensive side, and it's just a great pistol to use to clean up your kills and to peak a little bit of range if you aren't feeling like you're using your primary for some reason. In terms of gadgets, she has Impact and C4. Both of these are great things to bring when you're on the roaming side. And yeah, just 100% her whole loadout and character build just adds up to a roamer. She's not as hard roamer as some of the other people I'm going to list in this list, but she's definitely still 100% a great roamer. And she comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, I do have Kaevira. Now, as much as I dislike Kaevira, I'm personally not a fan of her at all. I feel like she's not a great operator, and she's just really not useful in any sense, but I know there's probably going to be people who strongly disagree with me, and I can't deny the fact that she is a great roamer. She's definitely one of the best roamers, and she definitely deserves to be on this top 5 list. But in my opinion, obviously my opinion's a bit tainted because I have a pretty biased opinion towards Cav, but in my opinion, the other 3 are just better, in all honesty, in terms of utilization, weaponry, all that. So without further ado, we'll just quickly get into this. Cav has access to the M12 SMG, which has 40 damage a shot, which is quite on the high side of damage in your weapons, especially for an SMG, but it only has 550 rounds per minute fire rate. This is definitely on the slower side, which does kind of slow down. It is a very slow shooting weapon, but it is still great to just use to get those long range kills, because obviously if you use your Louise in a long range, you need to check your head, because pistols at long range, basically every pistol, are very inconsistent. Damage drop off is just horrible with those things, and 100% if you're playing any further than, like, I don't know, 10 meters distance, probably a little bit further than that. Basically anywhere like where you can definitely determine the amount of length and you're like, this is a bit of a distance, I'd 100% recommend using the SMG instead, because the Louison's just going to be inconsistent and it's going to give you away unless you get that headshot, which is pretty not the easiest thing to do, especially with a pistol iron sight. But correct me if I'm wrong. And on the other side, she does have access to the Spaz 12 shotgun. This shotgun isn't bad at all. It's actually a solid shotgun. It does shoot quite incredibly fast, so that's definitely one of the better things about it. And it's very consistent in that sense. Comes in at 30 damage a shot, but it can be shot incredibly fast, which is kind of what makes up for the kind of lower damage count on the shotgun. But the aggression and fire rate on this thing is just a great thing to utilize all around. But I would 100% recommend you bring the M12 for those long range battles, because you're going to need it at some stage, I feel like, and the Louison is not going to do you any favors in that situation. And now finally, we are going to dive quickly into the Louison. It comes in at 65 damage a shot with a trigger finger fire rate, and it has 12 bullets in the magazine. It's just your standard Bopé pistol, the Brazilian Special Forces pistol, but it has that suppressor that like kind of links into Cav's ability, which we're going to get into straight away now, which is the Silence Step. The Silence Step is purely made for roaming. Silence Step is what you pop, and it gives you the ability to roam around, sneak around, run around quieter than any other operator would, because it suppresses her step. And along with this, she has access to this Louison, which we were talking about, which only injures, and her knives only injure as well. And then you can utilize this further to get interrogations, which is Cav's another one of Cav's abilities, which is when you injure someone, you can get on top of them and you can hold down your interact button, and it will interrogate the defender if you successfully get it off and give away the position of all the other attackers on the team. This is a very good ability, there is no doubt about that, but it just, in all honesty, it can kind of turn your team into a bunch of feral mongrels, and you will just completely get slammed by someone holding solid angles outside, while people start getting aggressive, running out, giving away the position, all that. But yeah, all around Cav is a great roamer, and she deserves a number 4 spot. Coming in at number 3, we do have Pulse. Pulse is a great roaming operator, bringing another 3 speed to the table, and also having access to that UMP-45, which is a great assault it's not assault rifle, a submachine gun that he has access to in his loadout, dealing 38 damage on 600 rounds per minute. Again, it is kind of on the slower side of the, this is another weapon that's on the slower side of rounds per minute, but it is still a great weapon to bring, and it's definitely a solid weapon in terms of consistency, recoil control, and damage. Having that range weapon as well is always going to help you out when you are doing a roaming role, because obviously when you're roaming, you're going to get into gunfights that are probably going to be at range 99% of the time, because you're going to be flanking, you're going to be like getting into gunfights. I guess roaming's kind of like the fragger role on the defensive team. So yeah, you're going to want to bring those long range weapons on basically every operator that I suggest here. Shotguns are good and all, but if you're playing a roaming operator, I'd 100% suggest these longer range weapons, and the UMP is that for Pulse. But quickly, before we do move on, he does also have access to the M1014, which is a medium range shotgun. This shotgun is very good. It shoots incredibly fast. It kind of pulls down pretty easily. It's much easier to control than said like the Spaz or the Super 90. But this thing is definitely a good thing to use, and you can pair this shotgun up. This is one of the rare situations where the shotgun can help you out when you're roaming, because you can use it to shoot through the floor with the pulse scanner, and it's much easier to shoot through floors and ceilings with the shotgun than it is with the UMP. But obviously you can utilize the C4 he has access to as well, but we'll get into that in a sec. And just quickly touching up on his pistols, he has access to the M45 Moosok and the 5.7 USG. There's 100% no doubt I recommend you bring the Moosok, but that's just my personal preference. And without further ado, let's just quickly touch up on his gadget. Pulse has access to the Cardiac Scanner gadget, which is an ability where you can get it out, and it can track heartbeats of enemy operators through basically anywhere within the vicinity of this cardiac scanner, which can give away their position, which can lead to multiple different plays, flanks, etc., nitro cells, wall bangs, all that, which is a great thing you can utilize on the roaming side. It's 100% a roamer dominated gadget, and I would 100% recommend this as a great roaming operator in Pulse. And just quickly touching up on his gadgets, he has access to that barbed wire and the nitro cell. If you're playing Pulse as a roamer, which is hopefully what you're doing after watching this video and hearing my suggestions, nitro cells are 100% going to help you out, especially with that cardiac scanner pair up. 100% pair those two together, you probably can get a kill with simple ease, especially if you catch someone planting, etc. But otherwise, that's going to be Pulse at number 3. Coming in at number 2, in my opinion, it's Alibi. I think Alibi's loadout and utilization, just gadget, all pairs up towards a great roamer. This may be a little bit of a controversial one. People are probably going to think she's a bit lower or deserves a little bit lower, which I understand. That's completely fair. Make sure to let me know down below if you disagree with any of these or do agree. I'd love to hear you guys' opinion. But in terms of her loadout, she has access to the MX4 Storm, which comes in at 26 damage a shot on 950 rounds per minute. Its damage is quite low. It is definitely a low damaging weapon, but that rounds per minute is nearly at 1000, which is nearly at the same speed as a machine pistol. So this thing shoots incredibly fast, which is what makes up for that little bit of lack of damage that it has. But obviously, no matter what damage it has, if you're hitting heads, you're hitting heads. And just the consistency of this thing, that it barely has any recoil, even though it has that high fire rate, can help you out in getting headshots a lot, no matter what damage it does. But yeah, this SMG, in my opinion, is a great thing to use. I 100% enjoy using this whenever I'm playing Alibi. Her gadget is honestly kind of a little bit useless in terms of a team game, but it can be very useful to use as a roaming gadget and a selfish gadget. Now, 100% I would not recommend selfish gadgets at all times, but sometimes they can help you actually win rounds. But yeah, otherwise her gadget is not really very beneficial at all, unless you are utilizing it on a roaming side play, which is how I'd obviously recommend you play Alibi, because she is that 3 speed, great weapon, great, what's the word? All around style that fits the roaming genre. Now, just to quickly touch up, she has access to the ACS-12 shotgun. In my opinion, this shotgun is absolutely horrible. It does apparently do 59 damage a shot, but its fire rate is absolutely horrendous. This thing shoots incredibly slow. You're not going to have time to get 2 shots off to get the kill in time before someone slams you with an AR. So, this thing can be very good for opening rotations, but obviously, if you're playing a roaming Alibi, which I would 100% recommend if you're playing Alibi, I wouldn't recommend anchoring with a... I'd definitely 100% recommend the MX4 Storm, and use something to open walls into pistols, because she does have access to 2 great pistols. And those pistols being the Bailiff 410, which is a shotgun pistol which does 30 damage on how much? It's trigger finger fire rate, sorry, and it only has 5 in the magazine, but this thing is great for opening short rotations, can be good for that in that sense, but it's obviously not the best. You can bring impacts on her as well, which you can just utilize for those rotations, probably be much easier. And her alternative pistol is the Keratos 357, which comes in at 78 damage on trigger finger fire rate. This thing does a lot of damage and is 100% great to use. It's one of the best pistols in the game in my opinion, and that just sums up her loadout even better to make her a better operator. And just to quickly touch on a gadget, even though we already have, it is the Prisma Mine. You throw a hologram of yourself that sticks to the floor. Utilizing these when you're on a roaming play to put them around multiple entry points around you can be very useful, because people will shoot them, give away their position, and hopefully you'll know that they're coming, and even if they shoot the bottom of it, they'll give away their position with bullets, getting shot and stuff like that. So you can really utilize this gadget great in a roaming sense if you just put them around where you're roaming and try and stay in a vicinity of them, so you can utilize them as best as you can. And coming in at number 1, we do have Vigil. In my opinion, Vigil is 100% the best roamer in the game. His ability is completely roamer-sided. It benefits you a lot when you are roaming. His guns are literally just next level, his primaries and secondaries. And he has that 3-speed access, he has impact grenades. All around, he is just the perfect roamer, in my opinion, and let's get into that. So he has access to the K1A, which is a submachine gun that brings 36 damage on 720 rounds per minute. This is a solid and balanced damage count. This is a solid and balanced fire rate count. There's nothing that really slacks. Both things are great, and this is hands down one of the best defensive weapons you can bring, defensive primary weapons you can bring in this game, in my opinion. There's just nothing else to say. He also has access to the BOS-G shotgun, which does 125 damage. This is a one-hit down if you hit them anywhere except the foot. I'm not sure if it injures them in the foot. Who knows with Rainbow, but it should be a one-hit down, technically, judging by this damage count I'm looking at right now. And it only has 2 shots in the chamber, though, which is what makes it a little bit balanced. Obviously, if a semi-automatic shotgun had that much damage, it would be a little bit broken. So yeah, you have 2 shots to hit people with this. Obviously, I'd 100% recommend you bring the K1A, but this thing does have access to an ACOG, so you can play this at range if you're a ballsy cunt. He also has access, he is one of the few operators in this game that does have access to 2 machine pistols in his secondary loadout, one being the C75 Auto with 35 damage, on 1,000 rounds per minute, and this SMG-12 which does 28 damage on 1,270 rounds per minute. Obviously, you can tell that the C75 does, 7 more damage than the SMG-12, but the SMG-12 makes up for that in its fire rate, so it really just depends on what type of weapon you feel like using. I'm not going to give any suggestions. They're both great weapons, and 100% recommend either of them to bring. Obviously, in my opinion though, you should bring them with the K1A. And obviously, I already stated this, but he has access to impact grenades as well, which is just summing off his loadout as the perfect roamer's loadout. And diving into his gadget, he has access to the ERC7, which is a gadget that you can deploy which will hide you from drones whenever they are droning you out for a certain amount of time until it runs out. This thing is great for roaming because it can obviously you're still going to be given away by the white little sparks. Drones are going to know you're in the area, but they have no idea exactly where you are, which is great as a roaming operator because that's going to help you out 100%. Obviously, he has a little bit of inferiority to other roamers such as Cav, where she can hide from Jackal, but Jackal's normally banned in ranked games anyway, so that's completely fine. But all around, just Vigil is a great operator in my opinion, 100% deserves the #1 spot. And with that said, that's going to be today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. It was a bit of a long one. I packed a bit of information in here. Do let me know if you feel like I put too much information in these videos, because I'm 100% down to listen to you guys' feedback and hopefully try and fix my videos up so you guys enjoy them more. But without further ado, I'm going to finish this up real quick. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a sub, make sure to check out my Twitch. Hope you guys enjoyed this list. If you did disagree or agree, let me know down below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.